Welcome to QuickBytes Education. Today's QuickByte is all about structured versus unstructured data, what they mean, how they are different, and why they matter in data science. Let's get started. Data is everywhere. It can be numbers in a spreadsheet, it can be customer reviews on a website, it can be photos, videos, emails, text messages, or audio recordings. But not all data is organized the same way. Some data is neat and easy to search. Other data is messy and harder to analyze. That is where structured and unstructured data come in. In this lesson, we'll cover 5 things. First, what structured data is. Second, what unstructured data is. Third, examples of each type. Fourth, why unstructured data is harder to analyze. And fifth, why both types matter in data science. Structured data is data that is organized in a clear, predictable format. Most of the time, structured data is stored in rows and columns. Think of a spreadsheet. Each row might represent one person, one sale, one product, or one order. Each column represents a specific piece of information. For example, a customer table might have columns for name, email address, phone number, city, purchase date, and total amount spent. Everything has a clear place. That organization makes structured data easier to sort, search, filter, and analyze. Here are some common examples of structured data: a spreadsheet with student grades, a database table with customer information, a sales report with dates, products, prices, and quantities, a bank transaction table, a list of employees with job titles and salaries, a website analytics table showing visits, clicks, and conversions. Structured data is usually the easiest type of data for beginners to understand because it looks like a table, and tables are easy to scan visually. Structured data is useful because computers can process it quickly. If data is stored in a table, you can ask direct questions. For example, which customers spent more than $100? What was the average test score? Which product sold the most? How many orders happened last month? Tools like spreadsheets, SQL databases, and Python can answer those questions because the data is already organized. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is a language used to ask questions of databases. So if your data is structured, it is usually easier to query, summarize, and turn into charts. Unstructured data is data that does not fit neatly into rows and columns. It does not follow one simple table format. That does not mean it is useless. Actually, unstructured data can be extremely valuable. It just means the data is messier and usually needs more processing before analysis. Examples include text, images, videos, audio files, emails, documents, social media posts, and customer reviews. For example, a customer review might say, "This product was easy to use, but shipping took too long." That sentence contains useful information. The customer liked the product, but had a problem with shipping. But a computer needs extra steps to understand that meaning. Here are some common examples of unstructured data: emails, text messages, PDF documents, social media posts, online reviews, images, videos, audio recordings, call center transcripts, medical notes, support tickets. These examples do not naturally fit into a simple spreadsheet. A photo, for example, has pixels. A video has frames and sound. An email has sentences, tone, meaning, and context. That is why unstructured data often needs special tools. Unstructured data is harder to analyze because it is not already organized into clean categories. With structured data, a column might clearly say price or date. But with unstructured data, the important information might be hidden inside a paragraph, image, or recording. For example, if a company has thousands of customer reviews, a data scientist may want to know, are customers happy? What problems do they mention most? Which words show up again and again? Are reviews positive, negative, or neutral? To answer those questions, the data may need to be cleaned, labeled, transformed, or processed by artificial intelligence, also called AI or machine learning models. Machine learning means computers learn patterns from data instead of being manually programmed for every single rule. Here's the simplest way to remember the difference. Structured data is organized. Unstructured data is not neatly organized. Structured data usually fits in tables. Unstructured data usually comes as text, images, video, audio, or documents. Structured data is easier to search and analyze. Unstructured data often needs extra processing before analysis. So if you can put it cleanly into rows and columns, it is probably structured data. If it does not fit neatly into a table, it is probably unstructured data. You may also hear the term semi-structured data. Semi-structured data is in the middle. It has some organization, but it is not always arranged like a traditional table. Examples include JSON files and XML files. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. You do not need to master those right now, but it helps to know that data can exist on a spectrum. Some data is highly organized, some data is partly organized, and some data is very messy. Understanding data types matters because data scientists work with many kinds of data. A data scientist might analyze structured sales data to find revenue trends. They might analyze customer reviews to find common complaints. They might analyze images to detect objects. They might analyze audio to transcribe speech. They might analyze documents to pull out important information. Different data types require different tools, different cleaning steps, and different analysis methods. That is why learning structured and unstructured data is one of the first steps in understanding data science. Let's do a quick check. A spreadsheet with names, ages, and grades. That is structured data. A database table of online orders. That is structured data. A folder full of customer service call recordings. That is unstructured data. A set of product reviews written in sentences. That is unstructured data. A collection of images used to train an AI model. That is also unstructured data. Here's what you just learned. Structured data is organized in a clear format, usually rows and columns. Structured data includes spreadsheets, database tables, sales reports, customer lists, and financial records. Unstructured data does not fit neatly into rows and columns. Unstructured data includes emails, text, documents, images, videos, audio, social media posts, and reviews. Structured data is easier to search, sort, filter, and analyze. Unstructured data can be harder to analyze because the useful information is often hidden inside text, images, audio, or video. Semi-structured data has some organization, but it does not always look like a traditional table. And in data science, understanding the type of data helps you choose the right tools and methods. If this helped you understand structured versus unstructured data, watch the full Data Science for Beginners playlist next. Like, subscribe, and keep building your knowledge with QuickBytes education, one QuickByte at a time.